Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you are returning. Today I want to talk about the topic of persistence, but it's also going to be a bit of a PSA of sorts. In my last video, I spoke about the topic of detachment, which for a lot of you got a lot of really good feedback. But the most common question that I got on that video was if I could talk more about the topic of persistence, because people are still trying to decipher what these mean and in the context which we apply it and all of that. So let's talk about it. By the way, if you are interested in learning about manifestation or conscious creation, then definitely don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you enjoy this content, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. This will tell the YouTube algorithm to push my video out to a wider audience. If you are interested in any of my resources, such as one-on-one coaching, my courses and workshops, or my new group membership program, I've got links to all that information down in the description box below, so don't forget to check that out. And I've actually been thinking about making this video for a couple of weeks now, because I got a couple things to say on this topic of persistence, based on what I've been observing and based on some of the things that I see people doing and some of the questions that I've been getting asked. So let's just dive right into this. The first thing that I really need to note about the topic of persistence is that I'm seeing some alarming trends with this, and the way that people are approaching this subject of persistence really needs to be addressed. So what does this mean then? What are we talking about when we talk about persistence in the context of manifestation? Essentially, persistence means that we want to persist or continue to practice strengthening our imagination. Now, what does that mean? When we first find out about the law, this is all very new to us. The way that we have been conditioned and the way that we have grown into habits is very different than what the law teaches, mainly because we've grown up and we've experienced living a world that is three-dimensional. We are used to looking to the 3D as the real world, and we're used to looking at our imagination like it's make-believe, it's all fairy tales. And so you've got this dynamic where everything's flipped. It also appears that this is a world of separation. It feels like everything is separate from us, that we are sort of this own little island, and everybody outside of us can ultimately have power over us. So essentially, when we find out about the law, these are all very different dynamics than what we are used to approaching. Basically, what I'm saying is this goes completely against the grain of everything that we've been taught. So initially, when we're learning about the law and we're still new to this, it's not going to feel very natural. It's going to feel challenging at times. We're going to have moments where we slip up. We're going to have moments where we react. We're going to have moments where we're not perfect. And that's the point, because as humans, having these human experiences, we're not perfect. And that's okay. So when we talk about persistence, that means that we're just practicing, utilizing these techniques and learning how to live in the world of imagination instead of being dominated by the world of the 3D, like what we've been accustomed to. And the most important thing that I want people to take away from this video, first and foremost, is that this truly is a practice. Because like I mentioned, we are not automatically acclimated to the law. We have been conditioned to think about things and go about ways that are very different than what the law teaches. So naturally, this is going to take practice in order to get better at it. I've mentioned before in past videos that you can think of the imagination like a muscle. And when we were kids, this imagination muscle was very strong. We would live in our imaginations all the time. And as we got older, in the societies that we grew up in, it was typically frowned upon to continue to live that way. We were told eventually that we needed to stop living in imagination and we needed to join the real world. And we were taught that we needed to look at things with reason and logic versus living in the clouds or living in the fantasy land. So we stopped using the imagination and just like a muscle that has not been exercised, it has weakened considerably. And even Neville talks about this. Neville mentions several times in his lectures that our imagination is keyed low. And by that he means it's very subtle because we're not used to using it the way that we are actually capable of using it. We don't know what we are truly capable of because we have not been living to our fullest potential. So when we talk about persistence, that just means that this is a practice and that we are gonna need to exercise this imagination muscle, so to speak, in order to really begin to create a new habit or create a natural, lasting lifestyle of this. And just like with learning any new skill, there's gonna be moments where we fall or we mess up or we're not that good at it. That's going to happen, because we are creatures of habit, and learning new habits takes time and patience and practice and persistence. Now, that said, I want to address something that I've been noting is happening more and more. And this is something that really needs to be addressed, because the way that people are taking this, information can be dangerous. For a lot of people, and after talking to many people about this, for a lot of people, they think persistence means that I need to just keep bulldozing and pushing myself no matter how difficult it might feel, no matter how challenging it might be. I need to keep just trying to fight my way through whatever resistance or whatever anxiety or depression I might be battling in the moment. And this can be incredibly dangerous, and this needs to be addressed because I'm seeing it happen more and more. For many people, unfortunately, when they come across the law of assumption and find out about the law of assumption when they're already in a very vulnerable state, perhaps they just went through a very traumatic breakup, or recently something happened that created a lot of heartbreak, and they're in a very fragile and somewhat desperate state. And when finding out about the law, they're told repeatedly, if they're struggling with anything or if they're having difficulties with anything, that they just need to, keep persisting. You got to keep persisting. And from what I'm seeing, it's becoming a bit toxic. But here's the thing about persistence that is important to understand. We want to persist in a way that is healthy for us, in a way that is beneficial for us. Now, persistence does not mean that if we are struggling with a lot of anxiety or a lot of resistance and we're having a particularly difficult moment, that we need to just keep pushing ourselves through, and that we need to just kind of shove everything down, shove all that anxiety down and keep going. And unfortunately, I'm seeing that this is what a lot of people are doing. And if this is something that you have been doing, if this is something that you might have been misunderstanding and approaching it from a place of trying to force yourself to just grin and bear it, so to speak, I urge you to cease doing that. I urge you to just take a moment and watch this video to the end. The most important thing, no matter what you are trying to manifest, and I want to be so incredibly clear about this, you guys, the most important thing that has to be number one always is your mental health. If you are struggling with your mental health, and if the process of the law of assumption and if manifestation is exacerbating that, you need to take a break. And I mean this with every fiber of my being, take a break. Now, I know that that sounds completely counterintuitive to persistence, all right? That sounds like the exact opposite of persistence. But if your mental health is struggling and manifestation is making it feel even worse, then the last thing that you want to be doing is to try to keep pushing yourself to keep going harder and faster and just grin and bear it. You will likely only make this worse if this is your approach. After talking to many, many people and them opening up to me about how they've been feeling, essentially the same thing that I keep hearing is that, anytime that somebody is struggling or reaching out to ask for help, asking questions, what am I doing wrong? They're told to just keep persisting. And that's about the gist of it. And when they are trying to do something and they're not seeing progress and they're already in that fragile state, and then they're seeing that something's not working here, but all they keep being told to do is persist, they begin to feel bad. They begin to feel like there's something wrong with me. I'm doing something wrong. What is wrong with me? Why can't I make this work? And then that frustration turns inward and they start getting hard on themselves. And I've seen this happen more than enough times now that I had to make this video about it. Because if this is something that you have felt, if this is something that you have been feeling, then I need to address this to you. You are not doing anything wrong. What's happening here is that a lot of times people are trying to just suppress their emotions for the sake of persistence. A lot of times I see people trying to ignore whatever they might be feeling, whatever underlying anxiety, no matter how bad it is, and just try to keep going, keep affirming, or keep trying to do sats, even though they're struggling, and it's just getting worse and worse for them. And then they turn around and get harder and harder on themselves, and it just becomes this vicious cycle. This is not what persistence means. This is not how we want to go about trying to manifest. Essentially, this is turning into a lot of very toxic positivity. And for anybody who's not clear on that, toxic positivity is when you're essentially supposed to be high vibe all the time. It's when you feel like you can never have a reaction, you can never have a moment of sadness, you can never show any kind of emotion, or else you're doomed to fail at your manifestation or whatever. And this is so incredibly false. This is so not true, you guys. It is okay to react. In fact, if that's what you need to do, then do so. The worst thing that you can do is try to suppress your emotions and suppress your reactions out of fear that it's going to ruin your manifestation. What's going to ruin your manifestation is suppressing that feeling and suppressing those emotions and those reactions. Because suppression only goes so far, and you can only suppress so much before those feelings and those reactions and those emotions will be coming up and they will be coming out. The body keeps the score, you guys. The body always keeps the score. And if this is how we've been approaching this, then for the love of everything that is good and pure in this world, please, first and foremost, take care of you. Take care of your mental health. This is not an area of compromise. This is not an area where you can negotiate, period. If you are having a bad day, or if you're noticing that your anxiety has been getting worse, because perhaps the more you try, the less you feel confident and you're not seeing movement, so you're watching videos all day, you're trying to figure out what you're doing wrong, and it's only exacerbating this anxiety and this frustration. And as time goes, continuing like this, it gets worse and worse and worse. If this is what's been happening for you, the first and biggest thing I need you to do is take a time out, take a break, put everything on pause, and just take care of whatever you need to take care of. Let yourself do whatever you need to do to release this frustration, release this anxiety, just whatever needs to happen in order for you to just get it out. If that means that you have to scream into pillows and punch your pillow, if this means that you need to just break down and sob, if you need to just have a moment where you are really fucking mad and you just cannot even see straight, if this means that you need to have a moment where you are just sad, let yourself be okay with this. Because we can always come back and revise it later. But if in this moment you are feeling that frustration and you're feeling that anxiety, you need to address that first. Take a moment to be still, meditate, do some breathing exercises. It sounds kitschy and cliche, but there's a reason that breathing exercises are so well recommended. When you take slow, deep breaths, you are sending signals to the brain that you're not in danger, and it will help to shut down that fight or flight response. It'll stop that releasing of cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So taking nice, long, deep breaths will actually begin to lower that anxiety. It will help to bring you down in that moment. Do that. Do meditation. Take a moment to just turn off the manifestation videos and watch something cute and fuzzy instead. Look up cute baby animal videos. Look up something that interests you, something that fascinates you, something funny or something lighthearted. Take a bubble bath. Go for a nice long walk. But you guys, you cannot compromise or negotiate with your mental health. That has to come first. I promise you, you are going to see movement faster if you take care of whatever you need to take care of. If you need to let yourself have a moment, let yourself have a day where you are just mad as hell or sad as hell, it doesn't matter. Give yourself permission to be imperfect. We need to be kinder to ourselves, you guys. We are still having these human experiences, and as humans, we're not perfect. And the more that we beat ourselves up and give ourselves a hard time is only going to make it worse. So the best thing that you can do in the entire world, if you want to manifest that desired outcome, first and foremost, and number one always needs to be take care of you. Take care of your mental health. Don't be so hard on yourself. This is a practice in every sense of the word. Just like with learning any new skill, there's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days, there's going to be good moments, there's going to be bad moments, and that's okay. That is okay. But we have got to be kinder to ourselves. We've got to have compassion for ourselves, just as we would for a friend in need. We need to show that for ourselves too. It's really easy to be hard on ourselves. We're great at doing that. Most of us are really good at giving ourselves a hard time and beating ourselves up, but this serves no one. This serves literally no good purpose and is only going to hinder you, and it is certainly going to hinder your manifestation. So guys, I beg of all of you, if you are feeling frustrated, if you are feeling anxious, if you're noticing that it's feeling worse and worse, if manifestation is beginning to affect your mental health, then the first thing that needs to be addressed is take care of your mental health. I genuinely cannot express that hard enough. And this may not be the video that people want to hear, but I'm going to say it anyways, because by suppressing your emotions and by just eating this anxiety and just trying to shove it all down is never a winning formula. This is not what we mean by persistence. It does not mean to just suppress everything and try to shove it all down and to just keep trying to fight through this resistance. That's not what this means. It means that this is a practice, and that just like with any practice, there's going to be moments where we mess up. There's going to be moments where we're not perfect at this. There's going to be moments where we quote unquote fail, where we react negatively, where we have a moment of fear. And that's okay. Let it happen. Let it out in a way that is actually going to be beneficial. Let it out in a way that is going to be healthy. We don't want to integrate and get into new habits that are detrimental or that are going to harm us. And if we are trying to emotionally suppress everything, that is going to be harmful. Maybe not today, but that will be harmful. And it serves literally no purpose. That is not going to get you to your manifestation any faster. Take it from somebody who has been there many times myself. Because here's the thing, you guys. Even if you have a negative reaction, even if you spent the day stalking your SP on social media, bawling your eyes out, and cursing God for ever meeting them, even if you had negative thoughts playing through your mind all day, that's okay. If that happens, we don't need to be hard on ourselves. We don't need to get fearful. We don't need to get seized up in fear that we just ruined everything, because you're God. You cannot ruin everything. And that is what revision is for. We have the tools and the means to help get us back into that state of the wish fulfilled if we have fallen out of it. That does not mean that you failed. That does not mean that you're a failure. The key to success, no matter what you're trying to do, is take care of yourself first. Take care of yourself. Do whatever you need to do to get yourself back into that state of the wish fulfilled and feeling good. But don't try to do this through force. Don't try to lie to yourself. Don't try to be sneaky about this and pretend like you're okay when you're really not. God cannot be mocked. The subconscious mind knows how you are feeling. So if you need to let it out, if you need to have a moment, have a moment. You can always come back and revise it later. You can always come back and move right back into that state of the wish fulfilled. We're moving through states all the time anyways, constantly. Let it be known and let it be normalized to take care and put yourself first. That's really what this is all about anyways. It is about you as the operant power, learning to take care of you and put yourself first. Not the SP, not the money, not whatever the circumstances might be. The change must be from within us. So if you feel like you need to keep trying to suppress in order to persist, I urge you, drop this notion. Erase this notion entirely. Do whatever you need to do in these moments. And every moment is going to be different. There's going to be good days. There's going to be bad days. And that's okay. It does not doom you to failure. You are not a failure. You are beautiful, you are brilliant, and you deserve all the love and all the success and all the care. So give it to yourself first. Because once you do this, you guys, once you really begin to give yourself that love and compassion instead of beating yourself up for failing, once you begin to strip away from this anxiety and this fear that we have been living in for so long, once you begin to accept that this is a practice and that at times it will not be perfect, the more that you do this and the more that you understand this, the easier and easier and more natural this will become. And before you know it, you'll be able to manifest literally anything that you want. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I had to get this one out there, but if you enjoyed it, if you found it helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, if you are interested in checking out any of my other resources, I will leave the links down below to sign up for one-on-one coaching, my blog, my social channels, my podcast, my workshops and courses, all of that good stuff. I'll have it down in the description box below, so don't forget to check that out. Also, do not forget to check out the other videos on this channel. Don't forget to check out my Manifestation Fundamentals playlist. Each video is a different topic, but it all talks about how to manifest the very best life ever. So until we meet again, you guys, as always, take care of yourself, be well, and never forget to put yourself first. Happy manifesting, guys.